Say Namaste, India. Welcome, everyone, to this deep dive. Today, we're heading into the political heartland of Bihar. It's a state often, described as facing economic challenges, but politically, it punches way above its weight. A real kingmaker on the national stage sometimes.
Absolutely. And today we're trying to unpack what's happening there, looking ahead to the 2025 assembly elections. We're drawing on analysis that considers, well, both its rich political history and the shifts happening right now.
Right. And you listening might be thinking, okay, how does a state with developmental hurdles become so critical in elections? What are the power plays, really, leading up to 2025?
Yeah, exactly. Our mission today is to try and understand who's pulling the strings, from Delhi down to Patna, and what does all this mean for Bihar's future? We're diving into analysis that digs into that history, but also these really current shifting dynamics.
Okay, let's get into it then. Bihar. Yeah, maybe known for challenges, but its political legacy is just immense.
Oh, it really is. It's quite remarkable. Bihar's given India prime ministers, presidents. It's been a hotbed for major social justice movements. Politics there isn't just like a side thing.
No.
It's woven deep into the fabric of society. You find so many people aspiring to leadership, whether it's at the state level or even aiming for the national stage. It's a real part of the culture.
And for the last, 2 decades, it's felt like Bihar politics was Lalu Yadav and Nitish Kumar. Just these two massive figures dominating everything.
That's right. They really defined an era.
But the analysis we're looking at suggests we're seeing a real shift now, a turning of the page.
I think so, yeah. If you look at the bigger picture, you've got a new generation of leaders emerging. You have these social equations evolving, becoming more prominent, and then there's the undeniable pull of power dynamics from Delhi. It all seems to be converging right now in Bihar, creating a sort of inflection point.
Okay, which brings us squarely to the BJP strategy. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Madhubani recently, April 24th for Panchayati Raj Divas, that felt like more than just a routine visit, didn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's widely seen as the sort of unofficial kickoff for the BJP's campaign in Bihar for 2025.
And Madhubani itself. Why there?
Well, the location's quite strategic. Madhubani is like the gateway to the Mithila region.
Oh.
So choosing that location, it clearly signals the BJP's ambition to expand their influence, gain stronger support in North Bihar. That's an area where historically they've maybe found it a bit tougher.
Interesting. And the person tasked with organizing this big event was Lalan Singh, the JDU leader and union minister. Now, people who follow Bihar politics closely know Lalan Singh and Nitish Kumar go way back. He's been called Nitish's Hanuman, his troubleshooter.
Right, a key ally for a long time.
So giving him this responsibility, does that signal something? Maybe a subtle shift in the ruling alliance? Could it hint at maybe the end of the Nitish Kumar era approaching?
That's certainly the big question on many observers' minds, isn't it? Considering the timing, Lalan Singh's prominent role, it could suggest perhaps a recalibration of power within that coalition.
A strategic move by the BJP, maybe?
Possibly. A strategic move as they look towards 2025. It definitely raises that important question about, where the Nitish Kumar era is heading.
And speaking of Nitish Kumar, the analysis does point to his public profile being, lower lately. Fewer appearances, kind of avoiding the media, his presence more on posters or through statements by his son.
Yeah, that's been noticeable.
Is that a deliberate strategy, do you think? Like a strategic retreat? Or could it just be political fatigue after all these years?
It's hard to say for sure, honestly. Both are plausible, right? It might be a calculated move to lie low, maybe conserve energy and then try to reemerge stronger. But, when you have such a long period of reduced visibility, it naturally fuels speculation about weariness or maybe even some kind of tacit understanding within the alliance to push a different face forward.
Because the BJP's stated strategy is pretty clear, isn't it? Modi as the national face for the campaign in Bihar, but Nitish Kumar as the chief ministerial candidate.
Yes, that's the line they've put out.
But does that message really land at the grassroots, where local loyalties and, day-to-day issues often matter more?
That's the million-dollar question, really. The top leadership can project that image of unity, of this shared leadership model.
Right.
But the actual impact on the ground, that depends on such a complex mix of things. Local affiliations that run deep, how voters actually perceive both leaders, their parties. It's complicated.
Okay, let's switch focus to the opposition then. This next election, 2025, feels absolutely pivotal for Tejashwi Yadav. He came so close in 2020.
Incredibly close, yeah. It was a nail-biter.
And his slogan this time leaves no doubt about his goal. Ab ki baar, Tejashwi Sarkar. This time, a Tejashwi government.
Crystal clear ambition, absolutely. And what's interesting is the dynamic within the Mahagathband and the Grand Alliance. Reports suggest Congress and the Life parties are signaling maybe more flexibility on seat sharing this time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the condition being that Tejashwi needs to present a really cohesive, compelling strategy. This could be a shift, because in the past, disagreements over seats often tripped up opposition unity.
Right, that's often been the Achilles heel.
Yeah.
And Tejashwi's own approach, it seems quite different from his father, Lalu Yadav's traditional playbook.
How so?
Well, Lalu's strength was massively built on that Muslim Yadav, the Amli equation. Tejashwi seems to be consciously aiming wider, talking about an ATOZ strategy, trying to connect with everyone.
Ah, okay. Broadening the base.
Exactly. And that slogan about jobs will give jobs, that seems to have really hit home with the youth, hasn't it?
It really has. That's a very sharp observation. He's strategically trying to move beyond that traditional core vote bank.
Yeah.
He recognizes the changing demographics, the aspirations of young people who are thinking about employment, economic opportunities first and foremost.
Yeah.
That 10 lakh jobs promise. It definitely grabbed attention. A huge chunk of the electorate is listening to that.
Now, no discussion about Bihar politics is complete without talking about the regional leaders, the chatraps.
Absolutely vital.
These figures who command specific community vote banks. People like Mukesh Sahni, Chirag Paswan, Jitan Ram Manji, Pashupati Paras, Upendra Kushwaha. Each one has their own game plan. Right? Trying to hold on to their influence, maybe expand it.
Exactly. They might not have the statewide reach of, say, the BJP or RJD, but within their communities, they wield serious influence. They can be kingmakers in coalition talks or real spoilers, highly sought after when alliances are being formed.
Let's take Mukesh Sahni. He's openly saying he wants to be deputy chief minister next time.
Right.
Which sounds incredibly ambitious, especially since his party didn't win any seats last time.
It does seem ambitious on the surface, yeah. But if you dig a little, his leverage comes from representing a big chunk of the EBCs, the extremely backward classes.
Okay, how big a chunk are we talking?
You're talking about roughly 30% of Bihar's population. It's a massive demographic.
Wow, 30%.
So their collective support is incredibly valuable. Sahni, as a prominent EBC voice, is positioning himself to cash in on that significance. And you see Tejashwi Yadav actively courting him. That shows they understand how crucial that EBC bloc is.
I see. Then there's Chirag Paswan. He's in a tricky spot, isn't he?
A very complex situation, yeah.
His uncle, Pashupati Paras, siding with the NDA, definitely weakened Chirag's position.
Yeah.
And there are real questions about whether the BJP will give him the kind of importance he feels he deserves.
There's that risk.
And you wonder if he might just do what he did in 2020, go it alone, which didn't really work out for him in the end.
Precisely. He's walking a tightrope. He needs to stay relevant within the NDA, but also keep his own base happy. And that 2020 experience, where contesting alone hurt Nitish Kumar's JDU, but also led to big losses for his own party, that has to be weighing on his mind for 2025.
Sure. And then on the flip side, you've got Pashupati Paras maybe keeping his options open, potentially looking towards the Mahagathband if his own support seems shaky.
It wouldn't be surprising. In Bihar politics, things are always in flux. Leaders constantly evaluate their options, shift allegiances if they see a threat or an opportunity. Nothing stays static for long.
Okay, so we have these personality clashes, these alliance calculations. But what about the issues? Caste has always been central in Bihar, obviously.
Bedrock, historically.
But the analysis suggests maybe voters are shifting focus. That recent elections show development, and especially jobs, are becoming more important.
That's a really critical point. Yes, caste is still a huge factor. You can't ignore it. But the younger generation, and they're a big part of the electorate now, they're increasingly focused on things that directly affect their future.
Like jobs.
Jobs, definitely. Quality education, healthcare, basic infrastructure like roads and electricity. Their concerns are starting to maybe cut across some of those traditional caste lines.
And Nitish Kumar, for all his years in power, he can point to improvements in infrastructure, law and order.
He certainly can. Tangible achievements there.
But the lack of jobs, the fact that so many young people still have to leave Bihar for work, that remains a huge issue.
Yeah.
So could Tejashwi's 10 lakh jobs promise be the game changer? The key to winning in 2025?
It has the potential to resonate powerfully, no doubt, especially with that large aspirational youth vote. But the credibility is key. Can he deliver? Voters will scrutinize that promise intensely. They'll want to see a believable plan for how these jobs get created. It's not enough just to promise.
Right. And then you have Prime Minister Modi's approach. He's pushing a development narrative for Bihar, interestingly, without granting that long-demanded special state status.
Yes, that's noticeable. The focus is on development politics, trying to appeal beyond caste.
But will Bihar's voters buy into that fully in 2025? Can that development pitch completely override those deep-seated caste loyalties and the immediate pressure for jobs?
That really is the core question, isn't it? The appeal of progress is strong, obviously, but can it entirely overcome those entrenched loyalties, especially when issues like unemployment feel so urgent? 2025 will be a real litmus test for that strategy in Bihar's specific context.
So as we wrap up our look towards 2025, it feels like these big questions are just hanging there, right? Is Nitish Kumar's long political innings finally coming to an end?
A question many are asking.
Can Tejashwi Yadav actually write that new chapter for Bihar? Seize the moment. And will the Modi factor, the Modi wave, sweep through Bihar once again?
Yeah, those are the defining questions. And honestly, only time and ultimately the voters of Bihar themselves will give us the answers. It's such an intricate picture.
It really is. The alliances, the changing voter priorities, the mix of national and regional forces, it makes Bihar so complex, but so crucial to understand.
Absolutely. And understanding these dynamics gives you, our listeners, such a valuable lens on Indian politics as a whole. It's not just about Bihar.
Couldn't agree more. And if you want to keep diving deeper into these political currents with us, please do subscribe to the Indian Politics by Mark and Laura YouTube channel. We'll be bringing you more analysis like this.
Yeah, we'd love to have you join the conversation there.
And definitely let us know what you think. Comment, share your perspectives on what's unfolding in Bihar. We really want to hear from you.
And just to leave you with a final thought, given Bihar's history, its undeniable influence on national politics over the decades, how might the outcome of the 2025 election there actually ripple outwards? How could it shape the broader Indian political landscape in the years ahead? Something to ponder.